But come on down here. I need to show you something.
I don't suppose you could come up here?
With the body? Hey, are you okay?
Stiff neck, I'll be fine. And no, I'm not looking for any cure-alls.
Say no more. Totally get it. You should really try acupuncture. I'm not a huge fan of needles. Oh, that's right. Trypanophobia. Totally forgot.
I had heard of them, and people kept coming up. You know, the director came up to me, Michael Zimberg, and you know the writers came up to me. You know, and then they kept saying, "Have you ever been on this? Have you ever done this?" I said, "No." I mean, it didn't sound all that, hideous to me, and it wasn't. But what I did discover was that, and you always have to look out for yourself when you're doing stuff like that for camera, because it's one thing to hang upside down for the allotted 30 seconds or 40 seconds. But inevitably, when the camera rolls, there's always some kind of delay or adjustment while something is being fixed last minute. So I made it a point. I said to the first AD, I said, roll the camera, and when you're sure that everything is right, then turn me upside down. So I don't have the additional 2 minutes, of downtime while you're figuring out, oh, this doesn't look, move that plant in the background while, blood is rushing to my head. So, but it worked out fine. When you initially do first use one, if you haven't been on it, you don't want to really go beyond 45 seconds or a minute until you're used to it, because you do, and you can probably see it, and they were all, oh, this is a great shot because you should see your face and all the blood rushes to your head. It looks like you're about to explode. Oh, great. Anything for comedy. Spies Like Us, I did think I think I saw it when it came out, but I don't remember it very well. Malice, I didn't see, but I know for a fact I read for it. It was one of the auditions I had years ago, and I never did see the Catch Me If You Can. I mean, I knew the basic story of what it dealt with, but those were the references they came up with, and I was, Scott, our writer, kept me apprised of any details or plots I needed to know. Our director joked that he said, we had $500,000 worth of technology out here today, and none of it worked. Initially, what we were supposed to do was actually be in the van and shoot it in reality as if the van were moving. They were going to drive the truck or drive the van with the camera inside so that they could, and that's the reason there are two large windows above our heads, so that they could see that we were actually moving, through traffic or wherever. Two problems happened. The noise from the actual van was so overwhelming that it just drowned out the soundtrack. But the other problem was, looking out the window, the angle was so high that you barely saw any change of scenery at all. And what you did see, you didn't want to see, because it was California, not Virginia. So best laid plans. We then parked the van and did it poor man's process, as we do most of the time in vehicles, which is, if you have a long dialogue scene, you just have, the crew rock the car a little bit. It cuts down on the noise, and you don't have to deal with movement and all that stuff. So we all kind of had a laugh about that, because they were doing their best to get something, more, with more motion to it, but it didn't work out that way. But that's what happens sometimes. You just have to go with plan B. Well, I mean, it's really writing, it's really good writing that makes a script like that survive. I guess it's like he's working on any case. He's going to solve whatever obstacle is in front of him. And it's basically just reacting to things. Even if it's that attitude of, even if all your choices are bad, you have to pick the best bad choice, because that's the only choice you're going to have to survive. So it's just really that. I mean, it's just, I think he's, because of the nature of what he does, it's always going to be, there's always going to be obstacles, there's always going to be risk involved. So it's just kind of breaking that down and seeing what's the clearest path to, to the end. Yeah, and the only reference he has is movies. So, he's looking for survival, and sometimes, he only thinks of it at the very last minute. So it may not be the best choice, but it's the one that came up with, at least in time, to, deceive anyone involved. So. Right, which he believes, but it's also a, in that situation, it would be a tactic to, instill confidence in this person that you're with, who is certainly not used to this kind of a situation, so that they're not, that they're able to function. And so there's just it's just an olive branch saying, don't worry about it, we got this, we'll handle it. Now, in the back of his mind, he could certainly know that's not a guarantee, but you have to believe it in order to go forward. Of all of his, there's certainly confidence and a small amount of bravery, that he has, but apparently stomaching certain things, which is funny to me because, now I'm going to blow the whistle on continuity in character, because he seems to have no problem walking through an autopsy room, looking at carved up bodies. There must be something about an actual beating heart that throws him. Or the actual cutting. He's usually there after the cutting is done, so maybe that's what the problem was. But we had it was a great team in there. The effects team that came up with that, the actual, organs and actual beating heart that we were looking at. We had technical, a lot of the people in that scene had medical experience, and one of them was our medical tech, to make sure we were, on track with what we were doing, what it looked like, where, what I would be holding or not holding. And that was important because, to just kind of phony your way through it wouldn't have helped what we were trying to do. I wouldn't say that I'm squeamish, on a level like that. I mean, certainly not that. That was, I was like, wow, that looks real, but I don't have any needle fear or anything like that. Sure, the situation's heightened. He's running on adrenaline. But he's also being observed by all of these people. So he's trying to fake his way through being, a surgical assistant. So he's going to have to keep up some kind of, ruse that's who he actually is. So sometimes his, his ability to come up with something totally convincing was a little shaky, but that's, that just helped the fun of the script. Well, we'll find out. I don't know. I mean, he didn't seem to do well the first time around. So usually if you have a phobia like that, it sticks pretty, even if you've, triumphed once, that doesn't mean it's not going to surface again. I think that was the idea, that they were certainly under duress, but they had to work together. They had to rely on each other. And when it was all over, it turned out well. And I think that was something that actually was not in the script initially. I think after a few days of shooting, I think that idea came up later to put that in the end. And I don't know that, and I think if I remember playing the scene correctly, it kind of, for Parker, I think it kind of was a surprise, that maybe was initiated through her. I don't know how it plays because I don't know how it's edited. I know that what the intention was for the writers, that they made a connection. And amidst all this, and in that last scene, I don't even know what's left of it now. There was a lot of, kind of messing around and joking, and before they leave the room, and then they have a moment where, it becomes intimate. And that's what they were going for. I don't know that was actually there that way initially. And I don't know that there was that you were left with the feeling that this is a character, Christine's character, that may be returning. And that's the way it looks to me. And, since we're coming back, we'll find that out. I think that there was a real, I felt that I really liked working with Christine. There's a lot going on with her. There's a lot of layers. I enjoyed it. She was, smart and funny and fun, but also, poignant and all of those things that that has there's a complicated character going on, and so anytime that's there and you can build on it, then you take a shot at it. So we'll see.
Yeah, Parker and I have a big game on Saturday.
You and Parker play basketball.
Yeah, 2-on-2 at our gym. Don't let his silver logs fool you. The man is a beast on the court.
I don't know that I'd go so far as to, although doing the math that I know of, I could be Torres's father, but maybe his very extremely older brother. And as the so-called leader of the team, and I use that term very loosely because I think that happens to be his title. I think when decisions are made about who goes where, he does that, but I don't see him as a real tyrannical person in terms of I'm in charge and everybody does what I say. I think it's more collaborative than that. I think he has a team that he gets along with. They all work together. They all have their strengths. They all have their flaws. And he just goes. He recognizes that and goes from there. With Torres, I always think he's concerned about Torres because we've seen Torres be, at least in Parker's mind, reckless in a way, for the good of the team or for the good of the case. but he's such a amped up character that I think Parker gets concerned about him. Maybe not outwardly to Torres himself, but I think it's something he thinks about. And the writers have, just subtly made him have moments of where he kind of looks him directly in the eye and is kind of urging him to just watch it, or you're going to get yourself off the rails. So I think that's where their relationship is. I think they continually give each other good-natured grief, which I like, because that's what you would do in a workplace. That's what we do with each other, when we're working, just as actors. You can't really get tight with people unless you're able to do that on some level. And it, we mirror what happens on camera a lot, just in our own behavior with each other, I think, to a degree, not exactly, but it all feels very natural when we're interacting with each other. Wilmer's pretty strong. And so, I wanted to avoid it at all costs because that's what was in the story. I was like, you're not doing that. You're not getting close to me. And then he tricks me and, and gives me a good, but it works. And that's the nice payoff, because they've been talking about it. He's been, Wilmer brings it up like 3 times, before it actually happens. So there was just, again, another good piece of writing. The script had a very, breadcrumb connected, way all the way to the end. Like a lot of our scripts do. I'm continually impressed by how the writers are able to, take this format that's been there a long time and use the characters and their quirks and their past history and keep building on that and just kind of mining a lot of humor and interaction with it. It's impressive to me. Sure, if the rim is, 6'3", I could dunk it. You can adjust the rim anywhere you want it, and I can say I could dunk it. And on camera, who knows? I mean, I could be standing on, on a 3-foot platform and then leave and go, oh, look at that, he dunked it. Yeah, well. Well, it's always tough, because you don't want to reveal that that's part of the fun of it, is nobody knows what's going to happen or how it's going to happen or who it's going to happen to. There is, without going into, because I don't know what the limitations are with what I can say or what I can say that people are in trouble, big trouble. And it's going to take everybody, and I'll lay a little hint. It's going to take everybody on board, if you take the clue.
It is NCIS.
To help in this crisis, yes. We're just, we're thrilled that we're coming back, and and it's been, it was a different. Obviously a different kind of a year because we only did 10 shows. It was over before we knew it. We're used to like just getting tired then and going, okay, now it's a second wind, but we were done. But I think the shows are really strong, especially these last few shows we have. Hopefully more of the same when we return.